Learning a new game engine is hard, but what's even harder is learning a new engine that isn't publicly available yet, because then there won't be many tutorials out there. So for the fun of it, the people at Jamango invited me to a collaboration to spend some time with their new platform and, well, make a game. And to keep it simple, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make a first-person shooter, something I haven't really done before. What could go wrong? But yeah, thank you to Jamango for sponsoring this video. It's very cool. If I had to explain Jamango in as few words as possible, it would probably sound a little something like this. Imagine the style of Roblox, the building of Minecraft, and Unreal Engine's blueprint system had a baby that is completely available in the browser. Like seriously, I go to the website and I can just start making games. Isn't that crazy? It doesn't sound like it's possible if you look at it, and because it looks pretty powerful, but I brought proof. Proof. There's a URL. Obviously, before I wanted to start my endeavor on making a first-person shooter, I figured I'd get to know the engine a little bit. So I just simply placed some blocks here and there, got used to the movement, and honestly, nothing of that was really too hard because I'm basically a pro at Minecraft.
No.
And then, because I also wanted to make sure that I was prepared for all the programming side of things, I thought, you know what, let me get started on that as well. Which, again, is all done through the browser. You do not need any extra software. Visual Studio, you better watch your back. But because I wanted to make a first-person shooter, something kinda like Counter-Strike for example, I figured I'd just get a feeling of that as well, you know, get the basic things going, understand how certain mechanics could be achieved through this kind of coding. What am I looking at? In case you didn't get my reference before, Jamango uses visual scripting, just like Unreal Engine does. I personally am not a big fan of Unreal Engine's blueprint system, because it always feels very complicated and I never really understand what I'm supposed to do. I feel like if you do not know the words you're looking for, it kind of feels impossible to make something with it. And I'm gonna be honest, when I first learned of Jamango's visual scripting, that was something I feared as well. But nope, apparently Jamango knows English, which is great, because I do too. But with the game dev knowledge I already got, I can just, for example, have an event that's triggered when I interact with whatever object I attach it to using my coal wrench, and connect that to an explosion function, and when I press the button... Now, I'm gonna make a bit of a time jump here. It is a few weeks later, I'm still wearing the same clothes, because that is who I am, but I have now had a few weeks to learn Jamango, and while I'm not going to show you the project just yet, you can have some pixels. For free. But what I can tell you is that in these past few weeks that I've learned visual scripting through Jamango, I have actually felt like visual scripting is way more approachable to me now. Like, as long as you have good documentation or the words just make sense in your nodes and the logic and stuff, it is actually not that bad. So who knows, maybe in like 2037 or something, I'll have the confidence to give Unreal Engine 12 an actual shot. Until then... Counter-Strike clone. Let's talk about what I need for this. I have played a fair bit of Counter-Strike, so I know this game from the back of my hand. I think that is the saying. So what we need are guns, shooting mechanics, a shop of some sorts, enemies, allies, bomb mechanics, and a map. I am starting to think that this was a mistake. If you know me to a somewhat real level, whatever that means, you'll know that I can't really build in Minecraft. Usually my base looks like this because I just want to make practical things and then never finish the game anyway. Although my last survival build looked like this, so maybe there's potential after all. But this time I wanted to surprise myself and use Jamango as an opportunity to make something look nice for once. So since this is going to be a Counter-Strike clone, I figured I'd recreate the most iconic Counter-Strike map known to mankind. It has a lot of walls, some power poles, a B-site that people love rushing to, or at least say that they will, and it's also got what I'm sure is an unhealthy amount of dust. It's dust too! As in the second dust, not 2 pieces of dust, because I'm pretty sure that is not an unhealthy amount. Recreating it was actually not that big of a challenge, it was more of a chore, really. It's a pretty big map, but I wasn't making it a 1-to-1 build, mostly because I was winging it, and at one point I realized that I was way off. I don't think a car is gonna fit here. But that meant that as long as things kind of felt right, I was pretty happy with it. And because I'm not forced to use only the blocks inside the Jamango library, I was actually able to make it look pretty nice. I should probably explain that a little more, shouldn't I? This here is your inventory. It has a bunch of blocks you can use, but you can also create your own blocks, which is how I made a version of the sand block that ignores gravity. It still looks the exact same, it just doesn't care about the laws of physics. But what's even cooler is that I made this metal door from scratch. Myself. I just made a square canvas inside of Photoshop, and then I drew a majestic looking metal door into 2 pieces and added them as separate blocks, the upper part and the lower part. And now I have a great door for average sized dogs. I didn't know that the Jamango character was 3 blocks tall. That's okay, this is just Dust 2 for Godzilla. After creating a few more blocks and listening to a bunch of podcasts while building away, I am happy to share with you my recreation of the iconic Dust 2. I dare you to spot the differences. Go ahead, tell me the difference right now between my Dust 2 and the original Dust 2. That's right, there are no differences. It is perfect. Just like me. But now for the pretty difficult programming stuff that I have been putting off, because apparently building is pretty fun. Okay, let's talk about the programming side of things. For it, you use a wrench, which is super cool because you can literally pick any cube in this entire world, anywhere, and just use it to program like it's a class of some sorts. It is beautiful. I just click it, I give it a name, and I can just start programming. It is fantastic. This game is a Counter-Strike clone, which I have realized through programming that was probably a mistake as my first ever game, but I think for what I did, it turned out pretty nice. So you have these guns you can pick from. I was thinking of adding a shop, but I decided, you know what, it's fine. People can pick whatever they want. And then I have this door here, which you can interact with. I forgot how small it was. It is the start game controller. Basically, it allows you to no longer fly like I was before. And then it just sets every parameter. It sets all the variables so you can be in the game. It sets your team, which is the terrorist, and then it also makes sure that if we go over here to my actual like blocks that take care of the game itself. It spawns NPCs for the enemies. I decided against adding allies after all because I couldn't get them to work the way I wanted, but other than that, I have a bunch of counter-terrorists that are spawned, and they have a certain behavior where when they see me, then they will try to shoot me. So as you can see here, when they are spawned in, this function runs. It's a custom function. It's super useful. You have all these nodes, right, and events, and then you have custom functions that you can use. It is perfect. It is exactly what you would think it is. It is a mess. I know that all this is a mess. It is awful. I am so sorry. I'm learning. This NPC, basically what it does is it just wanders around the position it is spawned with a rifle, and whenever the player character enters its radius in which it can see, which I'm thinking of making a little bigger, it will start shooting at the player, and then it has let's make this 15% chance of hitting the player. But my favorite part of everything that I've made here is the actual bomb controller, because you can plant the bomb, right? I made it here so you can just interact with it, so it is planted. So it's the bomb plant controller, and when you interact with it, it checks whether the bomb has already been planted, which is a function that I made somewhere where it has like a global state, which is like a global variable. So you can get to that from literally anywhere in the world. And it just checks, okay, is that true or false? If it is true, then ignore it because it's already planted. If false, then plant the bomb, set that logic so you can't do it again. Wait 40 seconds and boom, exploded wherever it was planted. And then end the game. Here's the rest of the bomb logic. We have a function for the actual planting. We have a function for defusing, which isn't used because I don't know how to make that happen with the enemies. I can't I can't figure that out, but that's okay. I have learned so much from this. This is where it explodes, and you will die. Let me show you a preview. That is all the logic of the game. The game is actually quite simple because you just shoot and you try to shoot the others before they can shoot you, and you try to plant the bomb and they will not defuse it whatsoever. So if you do end up planting the bomb, you will win unless you get killed. Still a lot for me to learn, but I am so happy with what I was able to make there already. Alright, cool, that's the game. And there you are, Counter-Strike in Jamango. I honestly did not think I could pull it off. Some things to notice though, I was totally planning on making this a multiplayer experience, but it turns out that as of making this video, multiplayer isn't actually part of the engine yet. As soon as this video is out, it most definitely is, but I think that multiplayer is gonna be huge for this engine, especially because it's like drag and drop easy. It's gonna be completely implemented from the start. I can't wait. That's gonna be so cool. I love multiplayer games, even without any friends. Anyway, thanks for watching, and huge thanks to Jamango for sponsoring this video. It was a very, very fun experience. It is a very cool web-based game engine that I think is probably like the simplest way to start making games and to start learning game design. I can genuinely highly recommend it. If you want to know more, be sure to check out the link in the description below. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. It's free. I make games.